you can't be trusted with it? Okay, who can be trusted? Okay. So, if there's any phone calls, just I'll be busy. This is for me. So, I just want to kind of capture everything that you guys are doing. And so, I'm Jessica Gerskis. Do you guys have any questions? No questions? Okay, we're done. Bye, see ya. Lunchtime. So I'm happy to be here. Basically, I mean, this is not the best, but so we're gonna kind of make it a conversation. My name's Jessica Gerskis, and I am local here in San Francisco. I lived here for 6 years. I grew up in Southern California and went to high school down there as well, college. And you guys are in high school, juniors, seniors? How many are juniors? And how many are seniors? Hi, so I can see them. Okay. All right, cool. Well, congratulations for making it this far. You guys having a good summer? Yeah. Yes. So you guys, can somebody tell me why you guys are here? Here in summer. Go ahead.
Just curious about building stuff, how to build stuff.
Okay. Anyone else? Why are you guys here? Stanford back there. Why are you here?
I like engineering.
Okay. Anyone else? Come on. I'm gonna pick on you. Okay. So, a little bit about myself. Who am I? It's probably like, who are you? Why are you here? Etc. I want to kind of answer some of the any questions that you might have, and feel free to raise your hand. I don't know if you guys can kind of read this, but I don't define myself as just one thing. I'm a project manager right now for consumer products in a 3D printing company here in San Francisco. But these are all some of the other things that I am. Entrepreneur, manager, marketer, engineer, inventor, etc. This is sort of what my resume looks like. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So let me just tell you a little bit about high school. So you guys are in high school right now, and I think that it's definitely something that sets the path to your long and flourishing careers ahead of you. And definitely, sort of my take on high school was really kind of, as a hindsight, is really just kind of being above the drama of high school and really just knowing that there's something cool out there that you're going to be accomplishing in your college years and in your career years. And it really set the pace for me in my career. So I graduated UC Irvine, mechanical aerospace engineer. And, I wasn't really sure if that's really what I wanted to do, but kind of in hindsight, I was able to really keep calm and steady on is really what my mantra was for high school. It's kind of like a resume is not to get a job. You guys know that, right? A resume is to get the interview. Does that make sense? So that's kind of what high school was for me, is to kind of prep myself. I went to college prep high school, and it was really to prep me to go into college. And then as far as college goes, that's sort of prepping me to go on to my new career. And I think this is all very obvious. But in college, I really decided, even in high school, you really have to learn how to learn, because in the real world and all of your careers that will come after you, it's more about critical thinking as opposed to just everything that you've learned in a book. And I think that's what you guys are doing here in this class, is you're learning about something that you're passionate about, something that you're interested in, and then you're kind of finding all the resources to make it happen, right? Like, you guys don't have books out and you're not learning theory. I mean, you're really actually making it work. And so all of you guys are at the level playing field where everybody has access to the internet, right? So what sets you apart from another person that has the exact same information at their fingertips? It's more about knowing how to learn and how to use all of the information that you're given. So to me, college is really based on really understanding how to learn and how to base your education on critical thinking. There's a ton of classes that you may or may not be interested in, and we all have to do it. It's just kind of our due diligence. But use all the resources at your fingertips, especially your teachers. And when you get to college and high school, you may have a lot of these resources, but college you have an entire university of labs, and if you want to learn how to weld, those types of things that you may not have right now in high school. But just know that your professors, and they're all there to kind of help you connect your education to the real world. And I think that's kind of what you're doing now, where you really have a leg up on a lot of the people that maybe aren't lucky enough to be in a classroom such as this. Something cool about college is you can get college credit while you're still in high school, which may give you some time to travel abroad when you're in college. So that's, I think, is a really cool thing about college. Something else is take an internship. That's huge. In all of my careers, I've had interns, I've managed interns, and they're all really passionate about whatever it is that they're doing, whatever we brought them on. We just hired in a web developer, we just hired in 2 3D graphic designers, but they're all still in college, so they've really gotten a leg up on some of the people that are out there that maybe haven't taken an internship yet, and it's really great experience. Get your degree, so important. For me, I've done a lot of variety of things after college, so to me, I was just able to say I have this amazing engineering degree, and whatever I do with it is sort of my choice, but it's really set the foundation for my resume. It set the foundation for just understanding that, oh, this person's an engineer, so they think a little bit differently than maybe other people. So kind of going back a few steps, my whole family are engineers, and I truly believe that it's not just something that you get a degree in. For me, it's actually an embodiment of a mindset. So I look at something very critically and I say, hey, how can I make that different? How can I change that? What if I flipped it around? What if I turned it inside out? What if we made it bigger? What if we used different materials? That's how I look at the world, and I think it's a little bit of a different perspective than most people have. So I truly feel like it's a mindset as opposed to just like a degree or something like that. And I'm sure that a lot of you could relate to that. Yes? Maybe? Some of us? No? Okay. And I think all along the way, you should really work on building your network. So you guys are all a network here, whether or not you go to the same schools or different schools. You may run into each other in college later. And obviously with social media and all of that stuff, it's much easier to kind of keep those connections along the way. But there's been so many times where I've gotten phone calls, hey, I'm in San Francisco, I'm looking for a job, hey, I want to explore the city, or I'm in New York, and I'm calling some people that were actually my interns from years ago. Some of my interns have gone on to make costumes for Lady Gaga, and things like that. So it's really important to sort of build your network along the way, whether you're in high school or college or in your career. And so for me, it's just let's just power through, let's get our degree, and really kind of decide, what other paths are out there. For me, it wasn't a straight path. A lot of my colleagues went on to go into aerospace and design fighter jets and work at NASA and those types of things. And I've participated in many of those projects. But that, for me, wasn't necessarily my path, and I'm still exploring my path, of course. But I remember one of my professors after my robotics class, he's like, Jess, so, when you graduate, what are you going to do with your engineering degree? And I said, well, probably start a party planning business. And he was like, okay, that makes total sense. Just because that wasn't my I didn't have a straight and narrow path, and many of you may or may not. So sort of in my, with my personality, I try to balance, the intellectual side as well as some of the fun things and more social aspects of my life. So while I was in college, I worked at Disneyland. So for me, after talking to everybody that works at Disney, they're like, "What are you studying?" And I was like, "Oh, mechanical aerospace." And they're like, "Wait, but you're a Disney princess?" And people, their heads explode. So some people don't really get that, I guess. And I don't call it a split personality. I call it more of a balance in my life, where I want to keep my hobbies and the things that interest me outside of school, as well as, sort of the academia that I know is going to help propel me forward. But, coming here and now, it's sort of those two things that I felt like I was successful at, embodying both the academia as well as being able to, experience with children and men and women of all ages at Disneyland, able to kind of express some of these cool ideas, even though they may be fantasy and those types of things. So sort of a little bit my personality. So what naturally do you do after you get your engineering degree? Well, for me, I ran a fashion magazine. So this is 944. I ran a fashion magazine and media company in Los Angeles and brought it here to San Francisco, which I then moved here to help flourish the brand here in San Francisco. And knowing that I had this degree, and it was really something great to put on my resume, to have in my back pocket, to build and design things in a media company that you wouldn't think would be necessary. We were building sets, we were building runways for fashion shows, and some of the people that I worked with didn't know how to fold a ladder. So, so it really, no matter what sort of career path you decide to take, I feel like having this sort of engineering and understanding of the way things work is always, always, always something that's going to come in handy no matter which career you take. Here are just a couple more examples. So at this fashion magazine, have you guys seen Devil Wears Prada? This movie, maybe not all of you, but some of you. It's kind of a cutthroat industry, as you could imagine. There are, politics and, people throwing purses at you. It's pretty crazy. But basically what I learned from working at this media company is that I really sought to understand everything, even though, that's not what I got my degree in. I learned about publishing. I learned how to write articles. I learned how to publish on social media. I learned how to interact with large brands. I've worked with Louis Vuitton. I've worked with Gatorade, Nike, all sorts of large brands, and those are not necessarily things you're going to find in school. Those are not things that, you're actually taught in a classroom. So those are things that you experience, and just knowing that I had and really falling back on my degree and understanding that I knew how to think critically, I knew how to think on my feet, and most of all, I learned how to come up with solutions to problems. And I think that's what we all here are doing, is finding a problem, and can somebody volunteer maybe something they're working on that they're sort of finding a solution to here in this classroom? Anyone? Okay, you.
Okay, well, I'm working on a box with a musically controlled lock. So when you play the right melody, it will open. So recently, the most recent step was writing the algorithm to detect various tones, and see whether they're playing the right note at the right time. So should I go into more detail, or?
No, I mean, I think, so what is the sort of maybe solution you're trying to solve, or problem you're trying to solve, rather, with this solution?
Well, the problem is trying to figure out how to take a microphone input, which is a bunch of frequencies and some noise and lots of data, and filter out one frequency and see whether it's there or not. And so I found a specific algorithm online, and I programmed it, and I haven't tested it yet. That's what I'm going to do today.
Very cool. So those are some interesting problems that you may solve with this engineering. Let me see, how could I maybe use that in my life or in my friend's life? One of my really dear friends is a music producer. So maybe he would use it to open his guitar case or something cool like that. What do you think?
Possibly.
Okay. But all along the way, at this media company, I also continued to build my network. And I don't know, some of the cool projects that I worked on in the past, Super Bowl. 2008, I moved to Arizona for a few months to throw what's been called the largest or the most ambitious Super Bowl event in history. So I moved there for 3 months just to throw this one event. And I mean, there was a lot of engineering work that actually went into creating structures and stages and laying out everything that was going on here. We had 50 Cent performing, Fall Out Boy, if they even exist anymore, and all sorts of things. So, you know, you go down so many different paths with your career that you might end up here in San Francisco. This is where I ended up, and this is just, it's really hard to see, but this is just a clip from our magazine publishing that. So what do you go from after you've launched a fashion media company? For me, I went into product development. I went back into engineering, full blown, and worked at a medical device company in Silicon Valley. So I was actually commuting for 4.5 years, about 100 miles a day to Mountain View, and back, and back, and forth, every day. But for me, I was like, okay, this fashion thing is cool. I got into publishing. I know pretty much everything about that world, but I really wanted to challenge myself once again and say, you know, I'd really love to get into medical devices. My father's a physician and an engineer. My brother's in biomedical engineering, and as are many people, other people in my family. So for me, it was kind of when I grow up, I want to ... And it was, I'd like to join a medical device company and kind of, you know, maybe save some lives. I think it sounded appealing to me. So I went into product development. And even though I didn't have necessarily engineering career experience, I had all the wealth of information that I carried along the way from the media company. So I joined in as research and development R&D project manager. So by running a magazine, you learn how to project manage things. And as much as we are all great at what we do, at the end of the day, you guys all have to project manage your own project to get it finished, right? You have a deadline of, what is it, maybe 6 weeks? Something like that. So you have to, in essence, be a project manager of your own projects. And imagine if it wasn't just yourself that you're working with. Imagine if you had a team of 50 people. You had people in FDA regulations, you had people in manufacturing, you had people in research and development under microscopes, you had people assembling little teeny tiny objects, and you had people in marketing that are trying to market and put it online, and then you have a whole sales team that's trying to sell these things all across the world. I mean, that is a big project, right? So I was lucky enough to sort of use all of these media and marketing skills to become what I learned to be what a project manager is. I never even really realized that that was a career path until I was just thrown right into it. But what was great about that was that I was able to work in the R&D capacity, where not a lot of people can bridge the gap between really understanding something that's technical and why a failure occurred, and sitting with the engineers and looking under the microscope, and being in the operating room, as well as putting out timelines so the entire company can sort of see where we're all going. So I was really able to glean all of those skills. And so one thing in product development, what I like to be is a little bit nosy, and I like to crash meetings every once in a while, but in a good way. where, you know, you might crash a party and be like, oh, wait, I'm here, and, you know, it's fun. But what I mean by that is, you know, I really sought to understand everything that was going on in my company. So I started project managing R&D projects, and then I got pulled into sales projects. I got pulled into marketing projects, and I also got pulled in by the lawyers to do intellectual property. So then I started managing all of our intellectual property for our public company, which is about 200 people, and learning about how patents work and how to patent our ideas and create brainstorms with all of our engineers to build on each other's ideas and get those all patented. So do you kind of see how this all kind of relates back to obviously having a technical understanding, and then also having the skills to sort of move projects along and kind of gather people and make things happen. I think was really sort of, you know, the gift that I was able to kind of put together all of those things. I also became a product manager, so then I worked in marketing. So I really tried to fill the biggest need of the company. So at the time, it was R&D. We were trying to build these products and get them to market and get them to FDA submission. The next thing is that you're supposed to market your products. So that was my next role, was in marketing to help market the product. And then we actually got acquired, so that was a huge win for everybody in the company. So it was a medical device company for women's health, and we got acquired by Bayer. I don't know if you know Bayer, but Bayer Aspirin. So one of the larger healthcare companies in the world. So knowing that I was sort of a part of all of that to make that happen, and in the process saving lives, was really what appealed to me about that. So after I went to Bayer, this is a picture of me in the operating room. Not what's too gory, and I don't know that you guys can see that, but any day for me, I could be under the microscope, I could be in an operating room, I could be talking to doctors in their offices, I could be training salespeople about our products. So I was really happy to have a variety of things that I could participate in. But it was really me being nosy and wanting to know everything that was happening and everything and how a company functioned, and really gaining the trust of the people around me and creating advocates for me. So, you know, I'm sure like your parents are advocates of you, and your teachers and some of your friends, but it's really important to have those in the professional world as well. This is just the website. So the company was called Conceptus, and then we got acquired by Bayer, and Bayer is a huge company, and I soon quickly realized that I was a little teeny fish in a great big pond, and I don't really like that so much. I'd rather be a bigger fish in a smaller pond so I can make a lot more effective decisions, and I can be more effective in everything that I do on a daily basis. So after the company was acquired, I was actually able to take some time off because I decided Bayer wasn't really for me. I wanted to find something that was a little bit closer to home, a product that I still believed in, and something that I might have fun doing, and what else? Yeah, just in the cutting edge of technology. I mean, that's why I live in the Bay Area. I moved up from Southern California up here is because we're really close to technology. I mean, we're all really, really lucky to be so close to Silicon Valley and here in San Francisco, where we just, basically I call it the center of the world. People in New York don't like when I say that, and people in Europe don't like when I say that. But I truly believe that 2014, we have the Twitters of the world, the Squares, the Boxes, the, Adobe,